Hi, good morning, everyone, and welcome to our first ever Wellness Wednesday webinar. So, our next speaker is no stranger to us. Her name is Miss Clarissa Reyes, a psychospiritual healing facilitator. Miss Ilsa is an award-winning communicator called to share God's healing love through speaking. She's a full-time church worker called to the ministries of inner healing, intercession, and media. She is the author of several books dealing with psychospiritual journey to wholeness, among the affirmation, among them, affirmation and healing treasures, inner child treasures, and before there's a way, there's a we, there's a me, as well as healing through Mary's embrace, healing through our Eucharistic Lord, and healing through the sacrament of reconciliation, which won as the best book in the ministry category of the 2012 Cardinal Sin Book Awards. Her latest book, entitled So Far Could Be So Near, Using Social Media to Connect Meaningfully with Our Loved Ones. She's an anchor on Salitang Buhay, winner of the Best Counseling Program during the 37th Catholic Mass Media Awards. She is graduated cum laude from UP College of Mass Communications, while she was the national president of ISEC, an international student organization. So once again, in behalf of JNG, welcome on board Miss Ilsa Reyes. Good morning, Miss Ilsa.
Thank you. Good morning, Jello, and thank you for inviting me to this Wellness Wednesday webinar. And it is indeed a wonderful Wednesday. And so for our topic today, we are going to deepen the virtue and value of simplicity. So the title of our talk is Simplicity from Within. I'd like to quote from Sir Jack Nang regarding simplicity. And he said, where the value of simplicity comes, it is self-awareness and having the need to rise above complexities as not to surrender and be overwhelmed. I highlighted the word self-awareness. We may think that we always know where we are coming from, what we are feeling, and what we are aiming for. Of course, we oftentimes write down our dreams and aspirations in life, but then oftentimes we're also limited in terms of what we know about ourselves. And it's important as we increase our self-awareness that we are able to more effectively overcome our issues, our problems, so that we do not sink deeply into them and we are not overwhelmed by them. But there are indeed also obstacles to practicing simplicity. So we could ask the question, what might be keeping us from personally being simple? I'd like to have a rundown of some of these issues. Number one, issues of low self-worth or self-esteem issues. Sometimes we might not know that deep inside, we repeatedly tell ourselves, I am not worthy of being loved. I am not important. Nobody cares about me. We sink into self-pity, and we might actually be attracting negative vibrations from other people because of our negative feelings about ourselves due to the negative words and actions of authority figures in our lives, for example. Then there's this tendency to have difficulty to go beyond our comfort zone. We might not be open to new ideas because we're just stuck in our own small private space. And these might also be because of certain fears that we might have. And in relation to that, fears and biases that have may been there ever since we were young, or perhaps even in our mother's wombs. And we are not necessarily aware of these complications in our lives. Then, of course, on a deeper level, there might be unresolved matters like hurts and trauma. I know some people, they're not able to speak about their trauma even though they're already adults and later in the stage of life, because they're so afraid to face these uncomfortable, very painful circumstances. And they're not able to find certain persons they trust so that these persons can accompany them towards processing We might have control issues. Perhaps some of us might find our worth in always having the answer to everything. And when we feel lost, we feel that we are also not in our element. And this actually causes us a lot of problems in life. So we would rather stay in this control zone of ours. There might also be unfulfilled needs. And because there's a void in our hearts, we project our issues towards other people, situations where we feel we are always uh, the solution to the problem, or we have in our hands the answers to these questions instead of seeking help from others or asking for their suggestions regarding how to solve certain problems. And then we have lack of awareness and understanding of systems. Sometimes we are not really difficult personalities, but we are just not updated about how to do things in a simpler and more convenient and effective way. So there are many possibilities of why we are not being simple in our relationship with others, in the way we deal with our problems and our tasks. Now, in order for us to be simple and to find our way back to simplicity, we are invited to be childlike. Why childlike? You know, basically, children are simple and they are humble, they are open to learning. They don't carry many complications with them. And I think we are also being invited by this call to be childlike to remember who we are in the heart of God, that we really are nothing before Him. After all, we would not be here without our Creator, the one who made us. And so we are reminded to remember our nothingness before God and to find our identity and worth in Him, not simply in the way we think of ourselves, but to ask Him who we are in His mind and in His heart. Now, I'd like to introduce today this process of coming home and reparenting the child within. So, I said earlier, when we look at a child, we are reminded to reconnect with the child that is within each one of us. Now, I'd like to ask you, and you can use your chat box there if you wish, so that you can articulate it to the rest of the group only if you wish. What is your favorite childhood memory? You can just type in some keywords if you like. Now, I'd like to show you the picture here. Actually, it's quite faded already, but that's the little girl over there is me. That was when I was a child. And this happened in our compound here in Quezon City. My lolo placed me on a little chair, and he and my lola sort of paraded me around the compound, and I felt like a little princess. You see, I was very close to my lolo. The name of my lolo is Lola Tony Belmonte, and my lola is Lola Carmen Belmonte. Now, Lola Tony was for me an image of the love of God the Father. Even though he was my grandfather and not my father, still I felt the stability, the strength coming from a father, and particularly he mirroring the love of God the Father to me. He made me feel very special, and I felt so safe in his arms. Oftentimes, when my lolo and I would play and we would grow tired already, we would just embrace each other. And even at this age, when I visualize that in my mind, I feel safe. I would always feel safe in my lolo's arms. I trusted him completely. He taught me many things. In fact, my grandfather bought me my first set of uniforms for school. And I treasure that experience, that feeling of being appreciated and affirmed very, very much. I'd like to show you also, of course, in this picture, I'm already a grown up, but you see the golden shower tree above me and behind me. It was planted by my grandfather, Lolo Tony, and it was one of the most, and up to now, one of the most beautiful golden shower trees on our street. Whenever I would look at it, I would remember my lolo. He actually planted it on his birthday, and so it is in full bloom on May 10 every year. And a lot of people look at it and say, wow, it feels like we're not even in the Philippines. It feels like we're in some other country. It's blooming so well and it's so abundant. And this tree reminds me of my own childhood and my connection with my grandfather. Is there a particular object or perhaps a place in your heart where you are able to connect with your father or your grandfather, or a beautiful childhood memory whenever you look at that object or you go to that place? Well, this is my happy place just behind our house. This golden shower tree planted by my lolo, which is on our street. How about you? What is your favorite childhood memory? When I was reading the email of Jello to me about the story of Sir Jack Nang with his own father, they would discuss about problems. And his father would tell him, whenever you have a problem, keep asking questions until you finally arrive at the answer. I think that exercise of visualizing your memory with your father, with someone in your family who has been a very strong image of affirmation and accompaniment, helps us come back to ourselves within, to the child within. If you wish to share a keyword regarding your childhood memory, you may type it in the group chat, and we will go back to that later. Now it says in Matthew 18:4, whoever humbles himself like this child is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. Ironically, the greatest in the kingdom of heaven is not necessarily the most famous, the one who has the greatest number of trophies or accomplishments in life. It's not necessarily the most successful. And the most successful are not necessarily the happiest, although there are many people who are both successful and happy, who are probably going to heaven because they have used their wealth and success to serve others and to serve God. But I think the reminder of this verse is that we need to be humble, like a child, submitting himself or herself to God, who is the greatest of all, the one who created us, the one who made us, the one whose love is deepest for us. This is the cover of one of my books, Inner Child Treasures, which was mentioned by Jello earlier. And I'd like to quote a line from this book. It says, "The childish in me yearns to be transformed into the childlike. I will discover the missing link between the two." Sa Pilipino, pwedeng tayo ay isip bata, pero ang pag-aanyaya sa atin ay maging pusong bata, to have the heart of a child, not to be childish, but to be childlike. So there's a difference. But sometimes we are childish when we have issues from the past we have not been able to process and resolve. Kaya paminsan, when we react to situations, it's like yung bata sa atin, no? Na nagdadabog, nagtatampo kasi hindi nakuha ang kanyang gusto. So we might have unfulfilled needs. We have not been able to ask a provision for. But when we are childlike, it does not mean we do not have challenges or problems in life. We acknowledge that they are there, but we come or we approach our Father, we come to Him, and we say to Him, "Dear Papa God, I have this problem. Please help me out with it. Your wisdom is greater than my knowledge, but still, please use the faculties that you have given me. Use the talents that you have given me. Send me people who will help me because I cannot do it on my own." So there's a difference between being childish and being childlike. And so we are invited to be childlike. And it has very much to do with simplicity. Bishop Fulton Sheen says, in terms of bridging the gap between childishness and childlikeness, to have the courage to look into ourselves is the beginning of the dialogue that takes place between the mask and the face, the shadow self, and the real self. Once this dialogue has been achieved honestly, there opens another dialogue, that of the soul with God. We cannot have communications with heaven until we have communications with ourselves. So that's why Jella mentioned earlier, I normally have this marriage between the psychological and the spiritual. Self-awareness has very much to do with our connection with ourselves and with God. So we cannot completely separate the two because we cannot have a self if we do not recognize that God is real and He is within us. And so as we connect with ourselves, we can never deny the fact that we exist because God made us and He made us with a purpose. Healing is coming home to our true identity in God. And healing invites us to go back to the very essence of this beautiful verse, Genesis 1:27. Whether you are a Christian or a Muslim or you have a different religious affiliation, I think we cannot deny the wisdom behind this powerful verse. God created mankind in His image. In the image of God, He created them. I remember this best-selling book, The Purpose-Driven Life. And the author, in his own words, tells us that in order for us to find our true self and to find our purpose in life, it is a necessity to reconnect with the one who made us. So in order for you to find out the purpose of an object or a gadget, you have to go back to the manufacturer. Most probably that manufacturer asked someone to prepare a manual, but that manual has been made in accordance with how the manufacturer designed the product. And so we are masterpieces of our Creator. And He made us in His image and likeness. But along the way, we experience rejection. And the rejections can be so deep in the case of others. We could live in our false self, characterized by fear, anger, doubt, and insecurity. And we might have so many of these. They could surround us in layers and layers. These could be manifested through masks, bad habits, defense mechanisms, crutches, addictions, needing to be in unhealthy kind of control all the time, and even sin areas. For some, it is to a small degree, for others, to a larger degree. In Filipino, we could say marami tayong panakip butas sa mga sakit ng ating kalooban. No? When I say sakit, it could be the pains, not necessarily major illnesses within, but the pains, the hurts. So, meron tayong panakip butas, pangpuno, no void, no? And we could have these bad habits. Some people have the habit of lying on a regular basis. Others need to project that they're always strong all the time. And they don't want help from other people. That's why when they try to solve problems, they rely only on themselves. They don't go to God, they don't ask other people for help, they don't ask for the opinions of other people. They have this need to be needed, their need to be on top of everything all the time. We need God's healing love to lead us back to a real or authentic identity in Him. His unconditional love breaks the lies regarding our identity and worth created by the rejection experiences. What are examples of these lies? I mentioned some of these earlier, like we might not be aware that we have been constantly conditioning ourselves to the statement, I am not worth loving. I should be treated as trash by other people. Even if deep inside we don't want this, but we might actually be repeatedly saying this to ourselves. And you know, when we say this to ourselves every day, the brain will start believing it as gospel truth, even if it is not the truth that God has placed in our hearts. The love that comes from God is also the love that gives us the grace to forgive and be forgiven. Healing is a process. We have to recognize this. We need not be afraid of undergoing this process. But you know, ironically, I have this friend, she and her husband separated. And whenever she would remember their anniversary, she would fall into very deep depression for days and even weeks and not be able to function properly. And she said, I'm scared of approaching somebody to help me with my healing because bad memories from the past might surface, and I'm afraid of facing these memories. So there was a time when she was actually afraid of and hesitant about going to healing seminars and workshops because she was afraid of the catharsis of crying whenever she would remember a painful memory. And yet, what I reminded her was that, you know, healing is not always comfortable. However, we need to think of your end goal. You want to be liberated from the painful memories. If you need to cry about things that happened in the past, then allow yourself to cry. Respect your pace. Otherwise, you would just keep everything bottled in. Don't be afraid of undergoing the process. It is a day-to-day experience of how much God loves you and desires to lead you back to His heart. I think when we speak about love, we want someone who will accompany us through the ups and downs of life, not only through the good times, but even through the bad times. And the person who is with us through the storms of our life and not simply through fair weather, is somebody who shows us He loves us. And if there is anybody who is very steadfast in His love, that is no other than God. His love is perfect, it is permanent, it will never change. It is important to be honest with ourselves and with God. You know, sometimes we think prayer is complicated, but we are highlighting today simplicity. Actually, we can simply connect with God by opening our hearts to Him right here, right now, even as you work, even as you take a bath, even as you travel to the office. Even as you stay at home and you go through your problems, God is there. God is here in our hearts. And it's important for us to be honest with Him. You know, if there's anyone who can take us as we are, it is God. Self awareness regarding our feelings about events and memories is needed. And if we are not completely self aware, we can ask Him to enlighten us with His wisdom. There's a saying which I often share with others: we cannot heal what we cannot feel. Sometimes we are afraid of our feelings. We don't know what these feelings will reveal about us. I remember when I was taking counseling subject at the Center for Family Ministries in the Ateneo compound. And our class was divided into triads. I was being trained to be a counselor, and in that triad for practice in class, I was on that particular day assigned to be the so-called counselor, and the counselee was my lawyer classmate, a guy, and the observer was a religious sister. So the religious sister, her task was to jot down the interaction between myself as a so-called counselor and the lawyer, my classmate, as a so-called counselee. When I was asking my lawyer classmate how he felt, I forget now about what particular situation, but I was asking him, how did you feel? And he kept on talking about his wife. He did not answer the question directly. He just said, oh, my wife, she takes so long when she shops. She's so talkative over the phone. Oh, my wife is like this, like that, like that. And then when I kept asking very nicely, so how did you feel? He was not answering the question directly. My teacher, who was training us, our professor, she stepped in. I forget now what question she asked specifically, but she used a slight method of provocation. And finally, my lawyer classmate, the so-called counselee, angrily blurted out, I'm angry with my wife. And the professor said, finally, you answered Ilsa's question directly. You have to name the feeling. You're angry with your wife. That doesn't make you a bad person. You just have to recognize the feeling that you are experiencing and you have bottled in for so long. Just acknowledge the feeling. And then from there, you can move on towards the healing. Now, what are some of feelings we might go through? You know, in Marriage Encounter, there's actually a list of feelings they provide couples with. Negative feelings, positive feelings. Feelings are neither right nor wrong. It's what you do with the feelings that could become right or wrong. For example, if you're angry and you kill a person, definitely killing a person is bad. But especially when you're doing it out of anger, you know, of course, sometimes it happens out of self-defense, but killing a person because you're angry with that person is bad. But recognizing that you are angry and talking to the person politely and properly, dialoguing with the person, bringing your anger to God so that you can be healed and you can forgive, processing your feeling, that's the right thing to do. Now, what are some of feeling words under anger? You see, even under anger, there is a range of feelings. You could be simply annoyed, you could be peeved, yung naiinis ka, pero yung inis mo, pwede rin naman yung paulit-ulit, nagiging chronic, yung inis na yon. You could be disgusted, enraged, bothered, mad, used, or hate-filled. Under conflict, you could have several words also: blocked, locked, bound, torn, or under fear, you could simply feel uneasy. You could be worried, scared, desperate, terrified, threatened, apprehensive, afraid, alarmed, frightened, panicky, petrified. Pwede rin sa Filipino or sa iyong sariling dialect. Under sadness, which is also classified as a negative emotion, we're not saying a bad emotion, but a negative emotion, you could have abandoned, depressed, down, empty, drained, anguished, helpless, humiliated, hurt, burdened, lonely, lost, unhappy, crushed, hopeless, miserable. Under happiness, you also have a range of feelings. You could be amused, contented, pleased, delighted, happy, surprised, excited, free, comfortable, glad, relieved, eager, joyful, ecstatic, elated, fulfilled. And so, as we listen and read these feeling words, some of these emotions might be resonating with what we are feeling. Again, you could even identify or articulate your feelings in your own dialect or in Filipino, for example, or for those of you who know Chinese or some other language. The effects of the healing love of God are security from within, healthy self-worth, and a strong sense of identity. We journey step by step back to our true self. But again, it begins with acknowledging what we are feeling. Acknowledging ano bang nararamdaman natin. At itong nararamdaman natin, inaamin natin sa ating sarili, inaamin natin sa Diyos. We accept and acknowledge and face our feelings not only on our own, but with God's help. And even with the help of a human being, possibly a counselor, a friend, somebody who can journey with us, somebody we trust. When we experience step by step the healing love of God, these are manifested through joy, peace, patience, kindness, and other fruits of the Spirit. And in the process, we become simpler. These will show in our relationships with others. We can also become more down to earth and open to different solutions to our challenges. Now, I'll give you a little exercise, but let me share with you what my favorite playground is. Tatanong ko po sa inyo, sa bawat isa sa inyo, ano yung favorite playground nyo? Whenever you're there, you feel so free. You can let your hair down. You can see here my hair is still short or was still short. And my favorite playground in the whole world, baka sabihin nyo magastos naman, pero doesn't matter, no? Because I've been to this place. I hope I can return to this place again in the future. Disneyland, the original Disneyland in California. You know, I've been to this place several times. Whenever I am in California, I go to Disneyland. Hindi ako nagsasawang pumunta rito. In fact, was it 3 years ago when I was in Hong Kong, I made it a point to visit Disneyland in Hong Kong. Ang saya-saya ko doon. Parang bata talaga. Kahit na mahaba ang pila, pinagtiyagaan ko yung mahabang pila. And you know, I read the story of Walt Disney. The reason why he put up this Disneyland, it was for him a way of expressing the child within. You know, Walt Disney started working early in life, and he admitted that he felt pressured by his father to work. And so parang hindi niya masyadong na-enjoy yung childhood niya. And so he thought of a way for adults to be able to play. Thus, Disneyland was born. Kayo, anong favorite playground nyo? Sa beach? Sa labas ng bahay? Nagpipiko? Or is it in a garden? A particular theme park? Kahit saan pa yan? Mahal man makarating sa lugar na yan? O mura lang? Libre? No? A place where you could be like a child. So what we're going to do right now is I'm going to lead you into a very short exercise. Patikim lang ito because you can do this in your house or during your break time or your free time. So I'd like to request you to be in this exercise with me. It's just for a few minutes. It's a prayer visualization and gesturing in your favorite playground. So you can stand if you wish as you listen to me and to my voice. You could stay seated if you want. So whichever position you prefer. Next, relax and don't be shy even if there are people there in the office. You will be using your heart, your mind, and your body. So kung nakatayo kayo, feel free to use your arms. Naka-social distancing naman, di ba? Or if you are seated, you can still use your hands and even your feet. Close your eyes. Just promise not to fall asleep. Okay, close your eyes. And follow instructions. So as you close your eyes, take a deep breath. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Now, as you keep your eyes closed, imagine that you are in your favorite playground. How does this playground look? What are the objects or items, the things that you see in this favorite playground? What are the colors that you appreciate dito sa paborito mong lugar kung saan ka madalas naglalaro? Now imagine that you are with your favorite playmate in this playground. Imagine that kasama mo dyan yung kalaro mo. The person you feel free to be around with. And imagine that the two of you are playing your favorite game. Is it an organized game, a popular game, or you're just kidding around? As long as you feel free and joyful in this place. Now imagine that your favorite elder, whether it's your father, your mother, your grandfather, your grandmother, your uncle, yung paborito mong mas nakatatanda sa'yo. It could even be your kuya or your ate, older brother or older sister. Imagine that he or she comes into the picture. So you are there playing with your playmate, and then your favorite elder comes into the picture. And imagine that your favorite elder takes you by the hand, and your other hand holds your playmate. So yung isang kamay mo ang hawak-hawak, yung paborito mong nakatatanda, while the other hand is holding your playmate. And you walk around and skip around this playground. Okay, so what you're going to do is you use one hand as if you were holding your elder, and you use one hand as if you're holding your playmate. Okay, so yung isang kamay mo, hawak yung nakatatanda. Yung isang kamay mo, hawak naman yung iyong kalaro. And imagine, if you can use your feet, that you're walking around this favorite playground, happily, joyfully, without a care in the world. You're free in this favorite playground. And as you go around, you are appreciating what you see and internalize the gift of this playground. And finally, you reach a place in this playground where you stop, and then you allow that favorite elder to embrace you with joy, to embrace you with gladness. And then this elder leaves the scene, says bye-bye for now, and you are left with your favorite playmate. Now, your favorite playmate also embraces you and shows you how much he or she appreciates you. And then this favorite playmate also bids you goodbye. You are left alone in your favorite playground. Now, as you stay with me for just a few more seconds in this visualization, imagine that you are opening your arms wide. You are now by yourself in your favorite playground. And ask this question from the depths of your heart. Father God, who am I to you? Just ask this question in the depths of your heart as you spread your arms wide. Father God, who am I to you? And for a couple of seconds, just breathe in the love of the Father, Papa God, and listen in your heart to what He makes you feel and how He answers this question. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. You may now open your eyes. Hopefully, you were with us in the exercise. Now, a few reminders regarding experiencing simplicity and childlikeness from within. Number one, be open to God about your feelings. Bring to Him your hurts as a child would approach a loving parent. Number two, allow God to reveal to you who you really are in His heart. And so our approach earlier through the visualization exercise was looking into our happy human experiences, but connecting it with the love of the Father for us. Going into our playground is like going into our safe space. And there in our safe space, God can show us who we truly are. And this exercise helps us, especially if we do it on a regular basis. It will rewire our brains to be open to how God truly has made us in His image and likeness. Experience the truth of who you are through what I call deep level affirmation. Hindi yung pang ibabaw na parang we're just trying to convince ourselves, I'm good, I'm okay. No, it has to be a deep experience. It is something that we internalize. We experience deep level healing, deep level hearing. And that is why here we do not only open our physical ears, but the ears of our hearts. And if they are closed, kung nakasara ang mga tainga ng ating puso, humihingi rin tayo ng grasya para mabuksan ang mga tainga ng ating puso. If you remember, as you look at least the popular image of a heart, it is like two ears connected to each other. And so we want to hear from the heart, not just from the mind. We want to experience God's love and healing for us, and not only know it cerebrally in our minds. You may use visualization prayer in a safe place or haven. Of course, you could go to church whenever it is already possible, but you know what? God is with us and in us everywhere. So even in your own home, you can have this safe place or haven. Journal your process out, and remember, this is a process. Live in the sacredness of each moment of God's step-by-step revelation to you. You can even dance, sing, or express it through the arts or in ways that bring out your feelings. And so some people, I don't know if I mentioned it last time, but some people express it through drawing. I have a friend who expressed it through sculpture. You know, she herself did not sculpt the images, but because she's a boss of her own company and she has a lot of workers, she actually drew her designs and asked her workers to do the sculpture for her. And this was during a time she was suffering from a physical illness and she was starting to feel depressed. And so she expressed her journey through those sculptures. It is important to do this in a non-judgmental atmosphere. Remember, it is love that heals. Yes, definitely God uses psychiatrists, psychologists to heal people. But you know, the most powerful agent of healing is pure love. And where can we get that pure love? The source is God Himself, who loves us without limitations and conditions. Learn to love yourself. Have love yourself moments. Remember, you cannot give what you do not have. Mark 12:31 tells us very wisely, love your neighbor as yourself. We're not called to be self-centered, but we are called to exercise self-compassion, self-respect. And also, have your periodical moments of solitude with the Lord. Yes, we should have our moments of bonding with one another, with people who are significant to us, people we work with, people we care for, but we have to have this inner resource of strength. And when we have this inner resource of strength, we can be very open to a lot of possibilities and blessings, which will activate the faculties that we have within us so that we can be the best versions of ourselves. And as an ending, I'd like to share with you what, again, Mr. Jack Nang encouraged us to do and the Joy Nostalg community. When you are simple, you have clarity above confusions, and you recognize that God is within you. Being strong becomes second nature, as the truth will give you comfort. When we are simple and we are childlike, we're able to overcome the fears and negativities in our life, and we are victorious because we have a God who loves us, who believes that He has placed in us a capacity to be strong in our simplicity as His children, loved by Him without conditions. And so, I hope that with this talk today, you're able to benefit a lot, and we will be going to our question and answer portion now. Yes, Stella?
Again, thank you, Miss Ilsa, for your very meaningful, reflective, and insightful talk this morning. At this point, I'd like to invite the JNG community to please forward your questions in the chat box to the right of your screen or on the community Viber. So,
Jella, as we also welcome the questions, I think it's worth reading some of the keywords they put in earlier regarding favorite childhood memories. So would you like to be the one to read it, or shall I read it?
sure, ma'am. I'll go ahead. So,
Okay. I have to put on my reading glasses though. Okay, it reveals my age. So, Fortunato June Kayanan, Sir June says, watermelon. Wow, you have to find out from him during break time what watermelon means, no?
food can
And
really,
then, yes, Jello?
sorry, food can really bring back memories.
Definitely, right. Lalo na siguro kung matamis yung pakwan, no?
Right, right.
And then Sir Erwin Barcelona says, wet grass. Wow, wet grass. No, saan kaya yon? And Kimmy Karen Dallas, yes, Kimmy says, swing. Siguro meron pang nagpo-push kay Kimmy dyan. Ano kaya yung kwento ni Kimmy dyan? Then Maria Rina Villariza, Ma'am Rina says, basketball court. Wow ha? Ano kaya yon? Si Ma'am Rina kaya mismo ang nagbabasketball? Or meron kaya siyang pinapanood sa basketball court? Okay, sige. So, thank you for those who shared the keywords regarding their favorite childhood memory. Di ba ang saya when we try to recall those moments? I wonder si Jello kaya, no? Ano kaya yung favorite childhood memory mo, Jello?
Well, ma'am, in my case, I would say football field. So,
Football field.
I'm not
Okay.
I'm not the sporty type, but when I was in grade school, I always loved running around the football field with my friends. So yeah.
Interesting. Oy, meron pang dagdag dito. Si Reyes, how do you
Miss Rona.
Miss Rona. Okay. Says Chinese restaurant. Wow. Siguro masarap yung food dyan. Ano kayang Chinese restaurant yan? Ako, I love Chinese food. Oh, ito pa. Ay, si Sir Jack. Garlic rice. Parang nagugutom na tayo, no? Ayan, si Ma'am Rona. Naku, sabi nila, ito raw, one of the best shop house in the world daw ito eh. Mamunluk. Okay. Ayan. Sige. Okay, Jello, yes?
Okay. So, ma'am, at this point, we have two questions here. Number
Yes.
one, you mentioned that we all need self-love moments, no?
Yes.
We cannot give what we do not have, so we have to love ourselves. But what is the direct connection of self-love and our capacity to give more to other people? So why is it important to love ourselves and to
Yes.
also how can that lead us to love other people as well?
Right. Okay. Simply put, when we are happy, we're also very generous, diba? We want to share. But
Right.
when we're miserable, we tend to be selfish, self-centered, bugnutin. And it's like a vehicle. Kapag wala ng gasolina, paano pa aandar? Sometimes we think umaandar tayo. We are functioning, but not in our full capacity. Or sometimes we think we are serving other people, but we might already be using them. Ano ba yung using them? Kunwari, we are doing something for others out of a heart of generosity, no? A generous heart. But sometimes, yung pala, we are already doing things because we need something from another person. For example, let me give an example. Let's say, may malaki tayong utang. Tapos, syempre, that's a big problem, right? Lalo na kung wala naman tayong means of paying that debt. And so, we say that we are serving a particular person kasi gusto nating magbigay sa tao na yon dahil gusto nating tumulong sa kanya. Pero yung pala, ginagawa natin yung pagtulong sa kanya kasi kailangan natin umutang sa kanya. No? Although it happens from a very practical perspective, pero in reality, hindi ganun kabukal yung pagbibigay dun sa taong yon because we are waiting for something in return that the person will have to do for us. So, kapag hindi tayo buo, maraming mga chips and unresolved issues sa buhay natin, we might sometimes think we are serving others effectively, generously, but in reality, we might be using them for our own purposes. That's one possibility. The other is, we might be burdened to the point that one day we will wake up, wala na tayong ganang magising. Wala na tayong ganang pumunta sa opisina. Wala na tayong ganang tumulong sa ibang tao because we forgot to take care of ourselves. In order for us to take care of others, we ourselves have to be strong from within. Otherwise, tayo ang hihilahin ng problema pababa. What else can we give to other people? If, for example, we are physically down and trodden, if, for example, we have so many unresolved issues in life, we will most probably be throwing our emotional baggage on other people. Maaring sa una makokontrol natin, pero later on, sasabog na tayo. At hindi na rin tayo masaya sa ginagawa natin. That is how important healthy self-care is. And I think even the Bible says that, diba? And in order for us to understand other people, it is very important to try to have this certain level of self-awareness. Kaya ngayon na-mention ko yata nung last time, I am another you. Paano mo maiintindihan ng isang tao if in the first place, gulong-gulo ka sa sarili mo? How can you exercise compassion towards others if you are not compassionate towards yourself in the first place? Magiging intolerant ka sa kanila kasi you're so hard on yourself also.
Thank you, Miss Ilsa.
You're
And we have
welcome.
one more question here. Looking within and being self-aware is something you need to learn through time. To ask ourselves why we do things and why we behave and feel the way we do. Many, many who are in touch with their spirituality have done this before. For people who are not used to such a process, what first steps can they do in order to connect with themselves?
Okay. Yung aking suggestion kanina, no? Find a place where you can be by yourself first. And in that place, you can do a visualization exercise. So, yung ating ginawa kanina was just a simple suggestion. Alam niyo yung the power of visualization, like I do this every day. And you know what, even amidst this COVID crisis, ang dami-daming blessings. And it is actually a form of praying. Sometimes we think that prayer has to be complicated, it has to be inside the building called the church. You know, a visualization exercise is also a prayer in itself. So doon sa sacred space mo na yon, kahit maliit lang siya, quiet down, and you can have this visualization exercise. It could be imagining that you are in your favorite playground, connect with the people who matter to you, and from there, listen to your feelings. It takes a while, no? You have to do it on a regular basis. As you said, may mga tao na hindi sila sanay. Pero, ganyan daw ang brain eh. May mga neuroscientists who say that the brain is elastic. You have to teach it to practice certain methods. And so yung mga hindi sanay, sa una, it's uncomfortable. But, you know, even the scientists say this. Merong iba nga, nag-author sila ng libro na 20 minutes to a powerful day. So, pwede siya na gawin mo in a spirit of prayer and becoming conscious of how do I feel? And in that visualization exercise, hayaan mo lang na dumaan yung mga nararamdaman mo, yung mga iniisip mo. Don't block them. And that becomes part of the self-awareness. Don't judge yourself right away kasi minsan ang bilis nating i-judge yung sarili natin eh. We're not saying that there should not be an objective sense of right and wrong. It's just that dito pinapakinggan lang natin yung nararamdaman natin. Kasi hindi natin mapaprocess ng maigi yan kung hindi natin pinapakinggan. And so, dito sa safe space natin, we could even say, I give myself permission to feel ... Kasi minsan, busy-busy tayo sa work, for example. Tapos hindi natin nare-realize may umiipon na pala na sama ng loob, umiipon na pala yung galit. Tapos pagdating natin sa opisina, kahit kinokontrol natin sarili natin, biglang sisigawan na natin yung katrabaho natin. Pero kung sa bahay pa lang, kung meron man tayong inis doon, or whatever negative emotions, or even positive emotions, we tell ourselves during the visualization exercise, as we connect with God, we also say to ourselves and to God, I give myself permission to feel ... I give myself permission to feel happy. I give myself permission to feel sad. I give myself permission to be angry. I'm not judging myself at this time. I just allow God to embrace me in whatever I'm going through. I think that prayer, that exercise, when we do it regularly, it can increase our self-awareness and our connection with God.
Thank you, Miss Ilsa. And I think we have one more question here. Is it true that if you cannot forget what was done to you, you really did not forgive the person?
Ayan, very interesting yan. Actually, I have a talk on forgiveness. It's an hour. Kasi forgiveness 101, napakalaking topic yan. Pero straight to the point, kasi di ba merong saying na forgive and forget?
Sure.
Unless meron tayong Alzheimer's, hindi natin makakalimutan na may ginawang isang tao sa atin. Pero where does the difference lie? If you have been healed and you have forgiven the person entirely, kahit maalala ng isip mo na ginawa yun ng tao sa'yo, wala na yung, sana masagasaan siya sa gitna ng EDSA, or sana mamatay na siya, or sana may masamang mangyari sa kanya. Pag nakapagpatawad na po tayo, we remember without the resentment. We remember without the bitterness. And forgiveness is also a process. Hindi po siya overnight. Madali pong sabihin na move on na, I've forgiven this person. Pero it's a psycho-spiritual process. Lalo na if the hurt is so deep. No? Pero to answer your question directly, ayun, hindi mo yun makakalimutan in terms of yung mental memory mo kasi wala ka namang Alzheimer's unless magka-Alzheimer's ka. But ang sign na napatawad mo na is wala na yung grrr sa loob ng puso mo.
Thank you, Miss Ilsa.
You're welcome.
I like that. Remembering without resentment. I think that's a very good phrase.
Agreed.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
Before we conclude the Wellness Wednesday session, do we have any other insights, comments, reactions to Miss Ilsa's talk?
Jump shot muna tayong lahat. Joke.
Yeah. Well, maybe that's a good idea, Jello. Make sure that we have a photo to remember. Well, anyway, it's recorded, so yeah. Well, thank you, Miss Ilsa. I think it's a very empowering session that we have with you. I personally have discovered new insights and have great learnings and a great deal of source of strengthening oneself. And I hope everybody else who's watching this, viewing this session right now feels the same way. I think there are 50 of us. So I think that's a good number. And I hope this number grows even more because honestly, Miss Elsa, I was texting Jello and privately, and I was telling him that, oh boy, this is really good.
Thank you,
So
Sir
thank you very
Jack.
much. Thank
And
you
I
very
hope you'll
much.
enjoy your garlic rice.
I shy away from it because it's fattening.
Garlic na lang po without the rice.
Yeah. And so, Jello, I turn over to you.
Okay, so thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Nang. So once again, Ms. Ilsa, in behalf of our JNG of Joy Nostalg Group, we'd like to thank you again for being with us this morning. It's only been a few minutes, almost an hour, but we really took a lot from your talk, from your insights and discussions this morning. And we're very, very excited to have you with us on board again in the next Wellness Wednesday webinars. So again, thank you, Ms. Ilsa.
Thank you.
And we hope to see you again very, very soon.
Thank you very much, and God bless you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Again, thank you, everyone. Thank you, JNG, for being with us. This Wednesday Wellness webinars will be a weekly affair for all of us. So again, see you again next Wednesday at 9 a.m. So have a great day ahead, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.